Amazing, 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 my people, beautiful people. I love you so much, and that's what I always do what we do. And how can we know unless someone explains to us? And as always, I've always promised you that we will only bring people who are experts in the areas that you want to talk about. And today we have one of the experts in one area that we'll address, that is on GBV and intimate partner violence. And she'll just introduce herself, and then we pick it from there. Hello, karibu sana bana.
Thank you.
It's been long. It's been long. It's been long.
Ages, actually.
Yes.
Can I say years?
Yes. Yes.
Not so sure. We are counting the years, but we are here today.
Mm-hmm.
So my name is Euphemia Anyango. I'm an expert in GBV, and of course, that is the work I concentrate on, matters of IPV and just handling issues to do with gender-based violence. Yeah, and I have different areas on matters of GBV. So it depends on what we want to know, what we want to hear, what do we want to get or grab
Out of it,
Yeah.
I know you're a source and you're a well. Let me use the word well, and we can get everything we want to get from you. But today we just want to talk generally about GBV and IPV. Like, what is GBV? Because there are things are happening in our communities: men fighting women, men beating women, not really fighting women, and even women beating up their men and all that. And in our community, some of the communities that we come from, especially where I come from, people just look at it. It's normal. It's normal for a man to beat a woman. Ni discipline and empathia. No. So what do you have to talk about? Like, what is GBV for real?
Yeah, GBV, gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Let me start from there. Something harmful that can cause any physical damage to the body. It can cause harm. It can cause, just being inflicted with pain. And for this to be GBV, we have to talk about the gender issue. And for us to talk about the gender, then we also have to talk about the sex part of it. So then we have to differentiate gender roles and, of course, the sex in it. So, of course, for the gender roles, we have these are things that are imposed to us by the society.
Sure.
So, like, let's say, and specifically gender roles, they change a lot. Yeah, a man is supposed to be a mechanic. A woman is supposed to bear children.
That's on gender roles, eh?
Yes, on gender roles.
And they are assigned by the community.
And these are assigned by the community, but with time they change. Of course, the way we were during the days of our great-grandfathers and our parents are different from the way we are today. So, of course, the gender roles have changed. But then when we talk about sex, these are like specifically the biological differences that are there between men and women.
That is what we are assigned on birth.
Yes. So basically by God or during birth. So then we talk about a man having, different private parts. We talk about a woman developing hips during the stages of development. We talk about a man's chest broadening. So then once we understand between sex and gender, then we are able to define better what GBV is. But on matters of GBV also, we have different types. We have the one we call physical, we have the one we call sexual, we have the ones we call emotional, and of course there's economic. But then under, GBV is a wide scope.
Sure.
Very wide. So nowadays we even have cyberbullying, and it is
as a form of GBV.
Yes, being categorized as a form of
if it's
GBV.
done against the other
Yes,
gender.
the other gender.
But let me ask you another question. We're living in a very, very, very dynamic world. And nowadays, there are very many genders. They are no longer the two that we used to know, male and female.
Yes.
Now, how do you bring all these things together and see, like, how do you, because at a given point, in some context, Alan stands here and says, I'm no longer a man, I'm a woman. I feel like I'm a woman. So you should address me as a she and not a he. Then, like...
Currently, there's a bill that was tabled in Parliament the other day, and it was passed by the justice system or something like that. But then we need to understand that these are not things that somebody wish for. I think there are so many factors to this other gender. We call them in quotes they. So these
Or
are
them, huh?
yes. For us in the GBV world, we put them as they, and we don't discriminate.
Sure.
Because we say the LGBTQI community, somebody wants to behave like a man and she's a girl. Somebody wants to behave like a girl and she's a man. So we have so many factors that are affecting this. Maybe I was born, raised up in the middle of boys. That one might be one of the factors. I never received all the love I want from either my dad or my mom. So I want to be a man or I want to be a woman, and I only see like if I associate me as a woman, if I associate with another woman, that is when I can find that love that I didn't get from my mother.
Yeah.
So there are so many factors associated to this. But as much as if they also undergo GBV.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes,
That was my
they
very, very
also
question.
undergo GBV. As much as I might want to be a girl and relate with another girl, but then there are these people who will want to take advantage of that and
Sure.
say, let me now force myself into this person and see if they'll not conform to liking men instead of liking women. So they also undergo GBV and different forms. Physical, you'll find maybe people coming up, ganging against them, beating them up because of their gender.
They call it correction or corrective something, yeah.
Which is not right, because GBV also interferes with human rights. And for human rights, we say everybody is entitled to their own, life perspective. They have a right to life like any other person. They have a right to health. They have a right to information like any other person. So they should not be discriminated against because of their
identity.
Yes, and because of their identity. So that is one of the major factors, and it is coming up. You will find that nowadays so many organizations are trying to work to get better solutions for them to receive other services just like any other person. But when we come back to the gender now, so we have we're talking about physical violence. These are just the bare minimal that people say they are normal, which is not normal. Something like somebody burning you with hot water. You fought over a man, somebody pours for you water. A child has done a mistake in school.
You burn her fingers.
Yes, you burn her fingers. A child has stolen your money, you burn her fingers. A child has made a mistake in school. You cane the child until the skin comes off. That is already a violence on its own, because it's causing someone's harm. It's making someone feel pain, and there are consequences to it. So, and one thing people need to learn is for any gender-based violence case, you need to visit a health facility, whether it's physical, whether it's sexual, whether it's emotional. You need to visit the nearest health facility, or just find help somewhere. So for this, and then we also have the issue of domestic violence, or can I say intimate partner violence?
Yeah.
This majorly happens between two people who have been into a relationship.
Just on that, if you pause on that, and it's really happening among young people, because there are young males who think they have power over their girlfriends.
Yes.
And you see a young man beating up a girlfriend because maybe the girlfriend has another person that she's dating on the other side. And I don't know if you've heard about, you've seen and heard what these young people are doing on YouTube. They call them loyalty tests. Have you ever seen some of those things?
I've heard about loyalty tests,
Yep.
but as a GBV expert, I don't. I wouldn't want to comment about the loyalty test for now. Yeah, but I've interacted with it.
Yes,
I've heard about it.
Like, let's not get to that. But what happens sometimes? I know if it's true, if it's really true,
Yeah.
these people go home with some emotional damages, physical damages, and name all those things, because words that are used even in those things, they're so bad. Because
Yeah.
like, why should someone say that to someone that they feel they own? Like, do you ever reach to a point where you own someone and you have all the rights to do whatever you wish unto them in terms of, or in the name of correcting them?
First of all, we need to learn that nobody has a right over anybody. Whether I'm your wife, whether I'm your girlfriend, whether we have a relationship or not, no one. The only person who has a right over someone is God. But in the GBV world, nobody has a right over anybody. So when I'm saying this, if I get into a relationship with someone, or if someone gets into a relationship with someone, or they're married, then everybody has a right to life, whichever you want to do. So even at a point of having sex, okay,
Sure.
or making love, or whatever you want to do in that whatever context, then everybody has a right to say yes or no
At whichever time.
at whichever time.
Whether they started with a
course.
yes, then head to a point said
Of
no, you
course.
still have to respect
Yes.
that.
At some point, it switches. At some point, somebody say you start something, of course we say love making, there's a process.
Sure.
So as you start somewhere, then maybe somebody might have said yes. Then at some point she says no. So when somebody says no, then you should respect that no. You should not continue.
Even if you guys are in between.
Maybe you are already in the mood, but this other person is not in the mood at some point, but because she has just remembered, oh no, I think I'm not safe, or something is going on and I'm not just comfortable with continuing with this. So as a person, you should learn to respect such boundaries. If I say no, then let's mean it as no. Let's not take it like I'm saying a yes and I'm saying a no, and it's like I'm agreeing.
And you're living in that world where people think a no from a woman is a yes. Most people know that, and a yes from them is a no. I don't know how this one works, because I've lived in that culture and the community that says that.
Another thing people should learn, currently there's a domestic violence act that was just it had been put up as a bill the other day. So when somebody undergoes domestic violence, or IPV, and they're able to provide evidence and report, then stern actions are supposed to be taken against the person who has committed
the perpetrator.
Yes, the violence. So you find people are not reporting, or people are not doing anything about it because they don't know their rights. They don't know about the law. They don't know about the act. So at that point, somebody will continue staying in that, abusive relationship, or being perpetrated there, because the person has no information. The person doesn't know where to get the services from. The person is either being manipulated,
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the worst things you can ever have is not knowing your rights, and you're being violated, either as a young girl, as a woman who is in an abusive relationship. And these things happen. It happens to Kenyans, it happens to refugees, it happens to religious people. Anyone can undergo IPV.
There's no one who's safe.
Or domestic violence. So until you get to know, that is the only time you can take an action. And also, we need to realize that I cannot remove somebody from a domestic violent relationship. I cannot tell somebody to leave, even if I'm a legal practitioner, or I'm a GBV officer, or I'm working with these people. You can never tell someone leave or stay. That decision comes within the person. That decision only comes when this person also has information. And that decision will also only come when this person can now say enough.
Enough is enough.
Yes. enough is enough.
I've taken in much,
I've
and I
taken
don't
in
think
much.
if
Yeah.
I can
And
continue
that
this.
will only come in when this person has also gone through counseling, a lot of dialogue. Because I cannot say it's easy being in a relationship or it's easy being in a marriage, but I can say two people who have been together, you never know what may happen. Yeah, so it is a decision that they only make once they have the information.
So the first thing is you give them the information that they
Yes,
need. Then whatever they do with that information, it's none of my business.
Yes.
Whether they want to stay in that abusive marriage,
Yeah.
I have played my role to give the information.
Yes.
Whether they want to break up, not really break up, they want to separate for some time and try to figure out who they are and then come back, it's still up to them.
Yes.
But you don't tell them move
No.
or stay.
You never tell a survivor or move or stay. The decision is has to make. But then, as I say, this decision has to be after. I have to create awareness. I have to give you the information. You have to consume this information. Once you consume this information, then you got to find a way on how to help yourself. Maybe you want to go through counseling first, before you make any decision. Maybe you want a dialogue with either your partner or your boyfriend or whoever it is. Then after that, then what next? How about this dialogue? Is it going to work? If the dialogue is not working, what are the other options
That I have on the table?
Should I explore the legal way? And if I want to explore the legal way, then that is now when I come in as a GBV officer. So you want to explore the legal way, then I'll give you the information of just how to access the legal way.
The legal way.
Yes. So I cannot tell, I'm not even in a position to tell someone, go to the police or don't go to the police. I'll give you the information. I'll give you how you should follow it, then maybe provide for you somebody who can just assist you when you decide that you want to go the legal way.
So does it mean that most of these things are happening because people don't have the information that they should have to avoid these things?
People don't have information. People lack information. I cannot say it's ignorance, but I think there's just not that enough information. And then there's also certain circumstances where people stay because of other reasons. Yeah, somebody else might be staying in an abusive relationship because that is the only way she can be catered for. That is the only way the kids are being paid for school fees. That is the only way she gets money to do other things. Because she will try and say, what if I leave?
Where will
what
I get?
happens?
Yep.
Who will take my children to school? Who will give me money for food? So there are so many factors surrounding somebody staying in an abusive relationship. And it also includes lack of information. It includes fear of what the community will say, fear of what the society will say.
I think that's the major. That's the major.
I've been in a marriage for maybe 5 years. I have 2 children. Then I want to leave and go back to my father's house or go back and just start my own life. The community will start to talk.
Even my parents.
Or your parents or whoever it is, which shouldn't be the case. We are being told never judge a survivor. Let the person heal first before you start judging. So there are so many factors that you might find is putting someone where they are. And until we learn that, then we are not giving these people support. And there's also the issue of judging. You tell somebody, I'm going through this, then somebody starts judging you. Why are you staying there? Why don't you move? It is not right. We need to support. These people need support. She might be staying there for all this while. She might not be, whether she decides to stay or move. The society is very funny. You decide to move, they will talk. You decide to stay, they will talk. So we say, in matters of GBV, you do what is right for you and what you feel safe with. Yeah, as long as your safety comes first, because let's say you have children and you're staying in an abusive relationship. What happens? Let's say what happens when you die? That other life will continue, but you would have left children here. There's a gap. You are not there. So then we say the best decision is best made by the survivor. after undergoing counseling and all that, and talking and exploring dialogue options. And then once she makes that decision, whether to stay or whether to leave, then now you come in to support whatever decision she has made
But
and
first,
see
you
the
give them
best
information.
ways you can help this person.
But
Yes.
first, you give the information.
Of course.
So you're not giving the information, and you've already decided on what you like her to do or like him to do.
No, you are not. As a GBV person, you are not an expert in giving such information. Your work is guide this person, give them the necessary information. Then the decision is theirs sole to make. They are the sole decision makers. They are the survivors. They need our support, yes, but they are still the sole decision makers.
It's like preaching the gospel, eh?
Yes.
You just tell the people about Christ Jesus, him
Yes.
coming, dying on the cross because
Yeah.
of our sin, and that resurrecting,
Yeah.
ascending to heaven, promising to come again. But whatever they do, that information is up to them. You don't make a decision for them.
Yeah.
Very, very, very interesting. And do you feel like we are even closer to ending this menace of GBV in our communities?
I wouldn't say ending, but I would say strides that have been taken up by, humanitarian agencies, individuals, survivors, is a very great step. And people are working towards it. People are getting information out there. I do not want to mention any statistics, but I would say things are changing from the ground, people are coming up just to report cases. People are coming up to talk. People are seeking for counseling services, So once you see that happening, then there's something going on. And I would say that there's also a lot of awareness that is going on. There's information sharing that is going on in the ground. So there's tremendous changes that are taking place from where we were, let's say, 3 years ago to today. There's tremendous changes that are taking place. I would love to say also that just working closely with grassroots levels, the local people, the community themselves, is also a plus to just trying to work out this war against gender-based violence, because it's something that has been there. People have been trying to try to find a way on just how to deal with this, but where we are, it's doing a good job. But I also want to bring in another discussion and just say it's not only women and children that go through violence.
That's the next question I wanted you to ask, because every time we talk about gender-based violence, people see women and children to be the survivors.
We need to also know that when God created the heaven and earth, we had two genders.
Sure.
But owing to other factors, then now there's the LGBTQI. But essentially, gender-based violence, there has to be a man, there has to be a woman,
Yeah.
And of course, children come inside there because now they are part and parcel of the society. So then, I know a higher number believe that it's only women and children that undergo violence, which is not the case. Men are also going through a lot of violence. So many men, especially emotional, physical, and even sexual.
Sexual, yeah.
Yeah. So there are so many men undergoing violence. But then you find men are not as women. They will not open up so easily. It might take a man a whole year to even recognize that he has been going through violence. But a woman, it will take a woman maybe 3-4 days. Yeah, even if she doesn't report, she will go and tell another person who will tell another person. And that is why you find the statistics are showing high number of people who are going through violence are women
and children.
That is why the reason behind it being women will talk about it. They will go and report. They will seek for services, medical services. Same as children. For a child, anybody below the age of 18 is a child.
Sure.
And children cannot defend themselves. So we as the, older people, the youth who are at least over 18 are the ones who are going to fight for this child. And that is why for for cases of children, we say in the gender world, we say cases of children, we don't compromise,
And children don't consent.
and children don't consent. So
Someone can say alikubali.
whoever said ati amekubali, that's a
Kwanza
big
yeye ndiye
lie.
alikuwa ananifuata.
But that, and you can never use that in a court of law. That already, you know, we
Criminalizes you.
yes, like technically that we call that ignorance of the law. When you say huyu alikubali, or mi niliona tu amekuwa mkubwa, so nikafikiria ni
Ameiva
mtu
vizuri,
mkubwa.
so mimi nilikuwa nafikiria ni mtu mkubwa.
Technically, you know, you cannot use that. So a high number of children and women, yes, that is showing a lot in the statistics, but don't forget, men are going through a lot of violence. And I've said men are afraid to report. Some fear being laughed at. You know, when you go and tell another man, I was beaten by my woman, or I was beaten by my wife,
Or my girlfriend.
or my girlfriend, they'll be like, ay, unachapwa aje?
Wewe ni mwanaume kweli?
Ni mwanaume wa aina gani unachapwa? You know? And it becomes like a chuckle, and they start laughing. You go to the police and tell the police, oh, my wife wants to kill me. He's, you know, chasing me with whatever it is. Police are, when you know, and your ego goes down as a man tremendously in a shuka.
Sure.
You know? So then the men are left there in their own cohorts. They don't know where to turn to. They don't know who to talk to. And that is why you find in most programming, as much as they're targeting women and children, now the rhythm is changing. People are starting to target men
too.
Yeah, because most of our young men are dying outside here today. You wake up today, you talk to someone, the following day someone is dead. Why? Depression. Why this and this was going on, you know? So there's a lot of tremendous changes in terms of programming and just trying to target men, especially young men, youths, you know, so that we try to curb both. You can't give information to one person. If you're giving information to women and children, then this information men also need to
receive the same information.
Yes, as much as they don't want to come out, you know, in the open and just say what they're going through, but they need
at least they can listen and they can watch.
If they listen to the information, they watch the information, then they will know, okay, so we have a voice somewhere. At least we can get help somewhere. And it doesn't what I tell, I work with youth a lot and young people, especially men and just girls, but I love working with men. I don't love men, but I'm saying I love working with men. Why? Because I think when you bring them together, let's say through sports or through just a forum that men will come, they will be able to open up. If you bring a topic, like, let's say for HIV, or you bring a topic of GBV, you'll not even struggle to talk. It's like a safe space for them. They will just open up and talk among themselves.
A topic on UTI and STDs, they will open up and start talking how they're burning.
Of course they will. It will be like something, it will be like now, you know, they will identify and say, oh, so we are all here, all of us are men. And then they will just start opening up and asking questions, you know. And then once you get that, then you form that as a safe space.
Sure.
And once this is a safe space, then you don't need to bring anybody in. You let it be a safe space until that time they are now ready to open up to another person, you see. And that is how we try to bring men together to get help in terms of so many things, in terms of health services, in terms of HIV services, in terms of GBV services. So those are the some of the avenues are just through sporting events, drama festivals, you know, for young people. Chief barazas in the community.
Church engagements,
actually. Yeah, so such things, when you find men gathered somewhere and they invite you in, then that can be a very good safe space. And the wind is changing. Men are coming out just to talk. to get information.
Let's clap for men for that. That's
Yeah,
very, very
yeah.
impressive. That's very, very, very
That's
impressive.
a good step.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
gender that most people say, kufa kimwanaume.
Yeah.
That's the phrase that they will use, kufa kimwanaume. That means whether you've seen it or not, just let it be with you and die with it. But that's, I think, what has really changiad to the rising number of suicides, a man killing himself or killing a family, then killing himself. I wish we could have had their story before that happened, but they are gone. We'll never hear of their story and all that. So kudos for the good work you're doing, and kudos for each and every man who opens up just to talk about these things. You're not supposed to die because of that.
No,
There is some help somewhere that is coming for you if you seek for it. So you mentioned different types of GBV. That is physical, sexual, financial, and economical, just to mention but a few. So what are some of the services that someone will go for in case of any of the GBVs? Of the kinds of the GBVs, how are the forms of the GBVs?
So let me narrow down.
Sure.
Sexual violence.
Yep.
So for sexual violence, we have a few. I'll mention a few. We have rape. We have defilement. Defilement is generally for children. Anybody below the age of 18, if he or she is, defiled, or of course, a child cannot consent.
Sure.
So then when anything happens that is sexual in nature, then that we call defilement. So then we have rape. Rape is for 18 and above. So rape, if you don't give your consent, whether you are married, whether you are not married, it is still rape.
So there is marital rape.
Of course, there's marital rape. And I know the next question you'll ask me is, how do I prove this was marital rape?
No, they will ask it on the comments. I don't want to ask it here, but I know they will ask it on the comments.
Yeah, I will be able to answer them Then we have, of course, the new one that is developing. It's been there, but now it's on the rise, is sodomy. Of course, it's called the anal sex. Somebody wants to have sex with you through the anus. And then, of course, we have the normal, not normal, we have the indecent touch. Someone wants to touch your breast if you're a woman. Someone wants to touch your ass as you're passing. Someone wants to touch a man in the chest. So all these fall under sexual violence. So in case of the major three, that is the rape, the defilement, and the sodomy, the first step you should take is just move to a safer place, then visit the nearest health facility. So at the hospital, you receive so many services. You'll have to undergo medical assessment. You'll have to undergo for an HIV test. You'll have to take an emergency contraceptive. You'll also have to take something we call post-exposure prophylaxis, which is just to prevent if the perpetrator was HIV positive or not. You never know. So that will help with preventing that HIV. So then from there, you're supposed to also receive the first basic counseling, just to help you deal with that trauma. Then after that, of course, you'll go back home. We would not ask you so many questions from there. But then if you want to pursue the legal way, then now there's the police, where you're supposed to go and record a statement and just, have that statement written down. Then after that, the police are supposed to do their work, of course, of just looking for a perpetrator, Then we get this case going and running. If it is valid, then it goes to court, and then the justice system.
The perpetrator is, whether he's guilty, he'll be jailed for the crimes that he has done.
Whatever. Let me clarify something. There's something that is filled in the hospital that is called the post-rape care form. This is the only thing that will be able to help identify who the perpetrator is, and this can only be filled in the hospital setup. You cannot go to a pharmacy and get it filled. Because there are so many major examinations that need to be done there. Yes, and then for justice also, you have to have evidence. If you are raped, the clothes, where are they? So many other things that are involving that. So those are some of the major services you receive within the hospital setup. Then, of course, we have partners, organizations that are just working to support survivors of violence, of sexual violence. So there are people who will offer support in terms of livelihood. There are people who will offer support in terms of counseling services. There are people also who will offer basic skills just to help you manage the trauma from this. Because I tell you, going through especially sexual violence is not an easy thing. Yeah, it's a tough journey.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
because this person has stolen your dignity
Yes.
and your innocence in one way or the other, and some that you'll never ever forget
Yeah.
about it. But you still have to live with it and live about it
Yeah.
with whatever happened. So you need to be talked. Okay, let me use the right word. You need to be counseled through it. So as you said, the first thing you do when you go through a sexual violence, you don't go to the police station to report. You get yourself you make sure you're safe first, then
Yes.
get yourself to the nearest
sure.
health center.
Yeah.
And she's defined everything. And just because of time, we will continue this conversation again and again. She's so busy, but we'll try to invite her again for the next question that you guys will be having and posting on the comment section. So thank you so much, Euphemia, and God bless you for the good work you're doing.
Welcome. It's by the grace of God that we do this work.
Yeah.
And we want to see the young people come up like us.
I think next time we'll be
You're
talking
still here.
about where to get this. You've just mentioned the first place to get the services is in the nearest hospital.
Yes.
And then after this hospital, if you want to go the legal way, there is a police station around you.
Yeah,
And I know the police officers have been equipped.
Yeah.
They are gender-based desks in each and every police station that
Yeah.
will take your case in case you need that help.
Yeah, sure.
And they have been trained to give that help. Hawata kuangalia Alan, hata unapigwanga. It's okay. Nikipigwa pia nafaa kusaidiwa.
Yeah, sure.
I might look so strong when I talk, but I'm not strong physically. And that might be one of the causes why I receive the beating. Okay, guys, continue subscribing and hit the notification bell to get the next episode. We said our role is to inform the communities, and it's your part to make an informed decision on what to do with what you're going through. Don't wait until it's too late, because the information is with you. We cannot say that we are ignorant because the information is with us and the knowledge is everywhere. On social media, on televisions, with the flyers that you guys give each and every time you go to these things. So we cannot say that we don't know. We know. But now, how can we know unless someone is somewhere to explain this to us? Thank you so much, Euphemia. Until next time we meet at the same place, same time. Consider the YouTube channel.